everyone. Welcome to the newest edition of 15.5 Live by Agorapulse. For those of you who aren't in the know about 15.5, it is 15 minutes of facts and just the facts, no fluff, and 5 minutes of live questions and answers, answering your questions. This week's edition is basically a TechStack story time with an industry leader. And for us today, we are super lucky to have with us George. George is an industry leader, GTM expert, and he is going to share with us what's in his tech stack. So this is, get out your pen and paper. This is going to be a good one. George, I'm going to turn the mic over to you because we are on the time and the crunch. Tell everybody the space you occupy. I know we're going to do this. Tell everybody the space that you occupy so they can have context for your comments today.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of yours, Teresa, so I'm really, really excited to be here. Good morning, everyone. Like Teresa said, go-to-market executive, 16 years of experience. I've had the pleasure of serving both the public and the private sectors, and I bring deep domain expertise in high tech, telecom, and BFSI, which in essence is banking and financial services. Former board member of the world's 5th largest private financial group, and currently on the board of directors for the Cybersecurity Global Alliance.
Wow. Well, that is good for our audience to know, because those are a lot of sectors that our audience are also in. So I think your tech stack is going to be super, super relevant to the audience. I'm going to jump right in and kind of give a high-level overview of the tech framework. This is just kind of a way to bucket the tech that George is going to share today. The first one that we're going to start out with is target. Such a big one for marketers and go-to-market professionals. And I love the one that you have here, George. Tell us why you picked it and what it does for you, why you use it.
For sure. So before I get there, I do want to say kudos to you and the team for the framework. I hope the audience realizes we're having tech talks. We're having a tech talk, tech stack story time on a Tech Tuesday where we're breaking down a tech framework. So that's impressive.
Only you noticed it, George. That's awesome.
So kudos to you and the team. In terms of targeting, what I'm going to say, and if I speak quickly, I apologize. It's just the time crunch. In looking over the last couple of years, and especially in terms of what has truly driven pipeline and revenue and build brand, it's really having a hyper focus around industry verticalization and true ABM. And if you want to do that properly, targeting is key. And so we've looked at, in the various orgs I've served, a number of different technologies in this space. I will say the 2 category leaders are truly Apollo and ZoomInfo. So that's what it comes down to. I could spend time on a ton of other ones, Lucia, Sales Intel, Seamless. There's a ton of other ones as well. The ones that have truly, I would say, set the stage and differentiate themselves for us are Apollo and ZoomInfo. Originally, if we were having this conversation maybe 2 years ago, I would have probably been leaning more towards ZoomInfo. But this is a great example as to where Apollo has, in my mind, and is in the process of displacing the category leader. So the reason I say that is both are truly enterprise grade. So that means robust, scalable, secure, which is extremely important. Apollo for us was the one that allowed us to really, I would say, materialize speed to value extremely quickly. It was the one that hit the mark on cost benefit. And when you're looking at this platform, what you're really looking to achieve, I would really kind of focus in on is quality of data, scalability, and simple UI.
Yes.
And Apollo hit the mark across all those fronts. Surprisingly, Apollo has even more contact information than ZoomInfo, although ZoomInfo does have more company information. So that's really going to depend on you as an organization. When you look at your TAM, so your target addressable market, and then your SAM, so your serviceable addressable market, where and what do I really need to help achieve my objectives, right? Now, unless you have 100 million companies that are part of your serviceable addressable market, you may not need ZoomInfo. And ZoomInfo is a lot more costly. And again, in the era that we're in, tech consolidation and capital efficiency are key. So that's where I would definitely recommend and prioritize Apollo. And there's a ton of other areas of Apollo that we just really love. They have recently deployed plays, which are extremely powerful. There's a few favorites that I can share with the audience as a follow-up. And then the last part here that I've added is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So oftentimes I hear, from peers and even from my teams, like, should we be using LinkedIn Sales Navigator or ZoomInfo or Apollo? So for me, it's not a question of or, it's a question of and. Both are very complementary and very powerful together. You have to keep in mind that, I think Apollo, if I remember correctly, has 250 million contacts, whereas LinkedIn still has 750 million
Wow.
plus members.
Wow.
So that just put things into context.
Yeah.
And really, LinkedIn is where, the introductions happen. It's where you get to really validate the data, understand, has there been a recent role change where maybe a database like Apollo is still showing a previous role. It really allows you to complement your insights on that front, and truly powerful between the two. And the last thing I'll say there is my sales teams, when we pulse them and ask them, if there's tech that you can't live without, oftentimes LinkedIn Sales Navigator is right up there. And of course, as marketing partners, we have to align and support our sales teams as well. So I would advocate for LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well.
I love it. I mirror exactly what you're saying too. We love Apollo, and it came down to exactly the same as you're saying, Apollo and ZoomInfo, and we went with Apollo. So I appreciate your insights there, and they're very much mirrored by my own personal experience. So we're going to move on to Engage. This one is one I've never heard of, LivePerson. I've heard of Drift, obviously heard of LinkedIn. Tell me about LivePerson. What's the space it occupies, and why do you love it?
So great question. So first, if we kind of look at the concept of Engage, what I'd like to encourage the audience to do is to think about how are you leveraging conversational AI within the space of engaging your audience. So that's an area that I'm honestly seeing still very much untapped or misunderstood or misarchitected. So LivePerson and Drift both play in a similar space, which is conversational AI, or otherwise known as chatbots. Both are also enterprise grade, which is really important. So when I say enterprise grade, it doesn't mean that this is only for large enterprise. It just means kind of the characteristics I shared earlier: robust, scalable, secure. Both solutions are extremely adaptable across small, medium business and enterprise. LivePerson I love because it allows you to really deploy conversational AI across all kinds of powerful use cases. So not only from a marketing and sales perspective, but also from a service perspective, from a customer success standpoint, from a support standpoint. So if you're embarking on a journey where you're looking at total tech transformation or total digital transformation, LivePerson is just extremely powerful. The team at LivePerson is doing incredible in terms of now developing what they call equal AI, which is responsible AI, which is also super critical right now with everything that's happening with Gen AI. What I love about LivePerson as well is they're also innovating within the voice space. So deploying voice AI, which is there to complement or replace like IVRs. And we all know how we feel about IVRs. All of those touch points, though, are customer touch points, which should be top of mind for marketing teams. And that's why, I think it's extremely important as a marketer, and as we're looking at being marketers in 2023, really challenging ourselves to leverage the power of conversational AI within this space. And the last thing I'll say around LivePerson and Drift is LivePerson is behind brands like HSBC, Verizon, T-Mobile, Virgin Media in the UK. Huge shout out to Chris Huggins, who's the head of commerce or e-commerce there. He's just absolutely brilliant. Really understands how to leverage conversational AI within the B2C space. And Drift, of course, is a top player. If you're looking to maximize or focus on marketing and sales use cases, so lead generation, optimizing your website engagement and visitors, and that's really your key focus, Drift is definitely a really strong player there. The last thing I'll say, and please, if you have questions, interrupt me. LinkedIn. So the reason why I say LinkedIn here again is LinkedIn is really your avenue and pathway to engage with your audience, right? So when you're thinking of different ways of engaging with stakeholders, of important collaborators, LinkedIn, I think, is a powerful tool to leverage. The reason why I'm including it again is oftentimes I see tech overdose or just too much tech, within a tech stack where we're trying to do so many small different things across a plethora of tech, when in reality, if we were just going to focus on, a handful or two of really powerful technologies that we're actually maximizing them to their full potential, that's where we drive a much greater ROI. And also it's where we'd be able to keep our costs, fairly manageable and look to achieve that. The last thing I'll say on LinkedIn too is I think there's a really overlooked practice and emphasis on employee advocacy. So from my perspective, employee advocacy should be becoming a marketing priority. There's a ton of untapped potential on that front if you're thinking of leveraging your employees as advocates and as trusted voices and trusted advisors. This is the time to do it. And LinkedIn, of course, is a powerful platform to support them in that endeavor.
Good. I love that. I'm going to tell you the things I loved most about what you said, George. I loved that quick word misarchitectured for chat. I think that is like so key. I think that it's one of the few areas where even when I'm talking to smaller businesses, I tell them to go out and get somebody to help them with the architecture, because I think that's a make it or break it thing for chat for sure. Yes. And I do think chat is powerful and underutilized and often misutilized. So I loved that observation. I love that tip on a live person. That's fantastic. And the other thing that I loved about what you did here on Engage is that you used LinkedIn in both categories, because it is a platform that can straddle multiple employees. And I would even argue, LinkedIn might be one of the ones that could straddle almost all aspects of tech.
Absolutely.
So, I'm glad that you brought that to the forefront too. Let's jump ahead so we can stay within our time to convert. This is what the marketers in the house care for. They care about conversion. So tell them how Gong is going to help them convert.
Absolutely. Well, they should care about conversion. Some of them don't care enough about conversion, but that's a topic for a different day. So I know we're really running under time, so I guess I'll have to be even more brief. So the notion around convert for me is really leveraging conversational intelligence. So you know how we were just talking about conversational AI for Engage. Now it's challenging ourselves as marketers to leverage conversational intelligence to convert. It's very difficult to convert a buyer via technology. It's doable, let's say, in the B2C space via chatbots. But what I've seen be extremely powerful is leveraging the insights you're able to get from your customer conversations to accelerate your deal and to actually identify the areas that will help you convert it into a one deal. So, double clicking on what are the areas that matter most for the stakeholders? Who are we spending the most time with? Who are we not spending enough time with? Are we really looking at the right mapping across our different stakeholders? And we've also assessed a ton of conversational intelligence platforms. I will say the leading players for now, although there's a heavy competition in this space, are Gong and Chorus. We've deployed both across our organizations. I will say Gong remains my favorite and the strongest contender. It is costlier, but if I ask some of my top peer CMOs and CROs, if there's one tech stack or technology that they bring with them when they join a new organization, it's definitely Gong. Oftentimes it's worth the investment.
Wow.
And you can really leverage that and see it as part of the insights. What's really key here to look for, a little bit similar to, let's say, Apollo or ZoomInfo databases, is the quality of the script. If you don't have quality script, you're not going to deploy or generate quality insights. And that's really what it comes down to. It's as simple, yet as impactful as that. I will say Chorus sold us on what they call, their patented scripting. It sounded great in pre-sales. It didn't deliver in post-sales. I'll be extremely honest. It actually caused them to lose our entire ZoomInfo contract. So I think there's a little bit of work that has to be done on that front. I'm not going to lie. Chorus, of course, is a much more affordable solution, but there's other players as well that are kind of, I think, disrupting the space quite a bit, and very much going to provide some more cost-effective value. I think Apollo has also kind of recently deployed conversations. And the last thing I guess I'll share here is LinkedIn again, and I promise I am not sponsored by LinkedIn. It's, for me, it's just really, again, emphasizing on how you need to leverage and maximize your existing tech. Quality over quantity any day of the week. And LinkedIn, if you're leveraging it as a vehicle to communicate with your stakeholders and you're remaining top of mind, that's where you're going to play a significant role in helping them convert. And that's really what's key. And then this is where also, like I would say, and I know over time, leverage LinkedIn to deploy strong customer marketing. I think customer marketing is also an area that is underutilized, and LinkedIn is a great distribution channel to allow you to put that into motion.
I think that too. I think that LinkedIn doesn't get its due on Convert. And I think for the reasons that you've mentioned, I'm out of focus. The reason that you've mentioned exactly part of how it can convert. If anyone's also not using, have you seen the new the new LinkedIn Forms? So you can actually convert and capture right inside of LinkedIn now, which is a new feature that's really fantastic. So I'm going to move us on. We are doing really good for time, George. I'm very proud of us. We're going to close this out with harmonize. And this is one that's often misunderstood. Harmonize is the idea that we all want to be able to work together internally as a team and also externally with our customers, with our partners. So you put the OG in here, George, and I'm a huge HubSpot fan. Tell us why you picked HubSpot CRM as the big player for harmonizing.
So let me start by saying I was myself surprised to see HubSpot, to experience HubSpot, especially the Enterprise Edition. And I'm not talking about the version 2+ years ago. I'm talking about their latest Enterprise Edition. It is future-proof. It is as powerful, if not to a certain degree, I would say even faster to scale than Salesforce. And Salesforce, don't get me wrong, it's an incredible platform. And this is a great example where, depending on your organization, HubSpot Enterprise may be actually a really strong contender that you haven't yet assessed or understood. And Salesforce may still be the platform that you need to, double down on it and continue investing in. The reason why we loved HubSpot Enterprise is we're blown away by the number of enterprise grade level features. We're talking about sandboxes, custom objects, true reporting and forecasting, recurring revenue tracking. As you know, you can create forms in HubSpot. You can even create proposals in HubSpot. You can do e-signatures in HubSpot. You can do meeting scheduling in HubSpot. So think about all of the tech you're consolidating by leveraging a true unified CRM. And that's where we're really blown away. And what's interesting is actually we just assessed, we took the time to assess HubSpot Enterprise because our marketing team loved HubSpot marketing. So because they loved it so much, I didn't want to take it away from them. I didn't want to create that additional disruption. So that's where we seriously considered HubSpot Enterprise and for CRM purposes. And we were, again, blown away. I'd really encourage the audience to at least consider it, go through a demo, leverage your RevOps team if you have one. They're going to be extremely powerful in helping you assess this. And honestly, we were able to deploy HubSpot in a matter of weeks versus Salesforce often takes a matter of months to deploy. So again, depending as to how fast you want to go to market, your emphasis on speed to value and how quickly and effectively you want to digitally transform, HubSpot Enterprise CRM is an extremely strong contender.
Absolutely. And I think that HubSpot, I'm a big HubSpot fan personally. But I think that every single one of these categories, we could take HubSpot CRM and show you how you can use it to target, how you can use it to engage, how you can use it to convert and harmonize. Like, this is one of those solutions that it may be expensive on the front end, but if you start adding up all the other tools you can get rid of, it could end up being a really good value. So I am a big supporter of HubSpot CRM and all the features, and having your RevOps team help you with the evaluation. George, is a very good tip to anybody out there who's considering getting such a robust platform to help them reach their go-to-market goals. So we are running into our last few minutes. I do have a question here about Gong specifically. So in our TechStack review, I think under Convert, you had Gong. Is my memory serving me right there?
Yes.
So tell us, so with Gong, what would you consider, like, what's the space that define Gong for the audience? I know you talked a little bit about analytics, but tell them a little bit more about what Gong is, if they don't already have something in that space, why they need something in that space.
Sure. So, in a nutshell, Gong is really a conversational intelligence tool. Think of it as call recording, but for sales. So call recording has existed for years, right, in the customer service space. And what's interesting is Gong leveraged that same approach and technology, just applied it in a very different environment, right?
Okay.
So in a B2B complex sales environment. And when done right, it's extremely powerful for customer service teams. Like, think how much we've evolved because we've leveraged call recordings. And Gong deployed that across calls and video calls. So, with the transition into digital sales, hybrid sales, and the hybrid environment we live in, where we're not having all those conversations face to face, Gong is an extremely powerful tool to, again, really tap into those conversational insights, and then allowing the marketing team and the sales team to leverage those insights to accelerate the deal cycle and really pinpoint what matters most for your clients. And that's where and how you're going to be able to convert.
I love that insight as a collaboration piece between marketing and sales to get on the same page. That's huge. All right, so we're going to do a recap here, and we're done. The time has sped by, George. You've been a fantastic guest. There's been so much value packed into this. I hope the audience took their notes. Here's a recap slide for everybody. We talked about Apollo to target. We talked about Live Person for engaging, a little bit more about Gong to convert and increase that collaboration between sales and marketing, and harmonizing with the Mac Daddy, the OG itself, HubSpot Enterprise CRM. So, George, I so appreciate you being with me here today. It is an honor to share the 15.5 Live stage with you. To our audience, please make sure that you do a couple things for us, that you check out this article, The Future of Work by George. There is a link here. You can connect with George on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you want to keep this conversation, we do have a private Slack channel. We'll put all this stuff in the chat too, so you can get these links. And then if you want to see Agorapulse, you can absolutely see a demo in action. So that's it, guys. We did good. It was great spending time with you, George. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Behind the scenes.
Thank you, everyone.
George. Bye, guys.
Cheers.